welcome back to another episode of the CFT Fitcast. We are at the quarter century mark, episode number 25. Matt, can you kick us off, please, with the old ritual there? It just ain't right without it.
Who used to complain about it?
I don't remember. Whoever
It's
it
for
is.
you, Levi.
Oh, there it is. And we're official. So we're here today to talk to you guys.
Hashtag FitAid.
Yeah, hashtag FitAid, hashtag whatever, however you pronounce that water I love so much.
LaCroix.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway.
Our producer's French.
LaCroix.
La Jolla!
It's like produced in Minnesota, though.
Oh, that just
Yeah.
ruined
Minnesota.
It. That just ruined it for everyone.
Minnesota, eh?
Yeah.
Might as well be Canada.
Yeah, that's what I tell Shannon. As far as I'm concerned, she's Canadian. Anyway,
What's all that a boot?
so we want to kind of talk to people today about what an athlete is. See, there seems to be this underlying issue with the CrossFit Open that people are worried about their performance this year. And, who cares? Why? Because you're an athlete. Athletes have good days and bad days. Not every day is built to be a test that you're going to be good at. But guess what? You're able to perform every single one of those workouts. And that is the true test of an athlete. So we're going to get a little more in depth on that, explain to you why doing the Open is totally okay. And doing bad at it is totally okay. Because the fact that you're doing it and fully capable of, whether it's scaled or RX, completing a workout, even if it's just one rep, makes you more of an athlete than 90% of this world. We'll also talk about specific athletes versus non-specific. So Matt, what's your take on this whole thing here? Besides the fact that your mic is completely falling apart over here.
Yep, it's remedial. My take on what? The Open?
Yeah, what's your take on the Open? What's your take on athletes? I mean, there's always talk of, oh, that guy plays sports, so he must be an athlete. But I mean, you and I had a conversation earlier today, and I feel like
Yeah. I got you.
we kind of disagree.
Sorry, I was in the Hootie song for a second ago. Isn't this Hootie that sings this song? Amber?
311.
311.
311. Yeah, they sound the same. That's my jam. Anyway,
Oh, boy.
digging in, we were talking earlier about what we define as an athlete, and I know we said that a lot of people consider anyone who plays a sport an athlete, and I say no. I say someone who can play multiple sports, not only play multiple sports, but also perform well. Either that's above average or right at average as far as an athlete's performance go. That is an athlete, someone who's adaptable, who can apply their skills, their foundation to a football game, and then turn around and apply those skills to a soccer game or a baseball game, making their athleticism in general adaptable. Most time you can tell who's a good athlete in high school or in college because they are really good at dodgeball. We were really good at flag football, and they were also really good at basketball, and they were performed way above some of the average guys that were good at just one thing. Like one guy could throw a ball really hard, one guy can shoot jumpers all day, and one guy can bomb passes all the way down to the end zone in the football. But then there was a couple guys that would just do everything, and they would perform well, and it seemed effortless to them, like it was just them in their natural state of just being an athlete.
So you would say maybe a guy like Tim Tebow, who's doing pretty well in the minor leagues, won a playoff game in the NFL. He's an athlete.
Yeah, he's a pretty good athlete.
Yeah, that.
He's
So-
adaptable, malleable.
Yeah.
He can do anything. Just tell him what to do, and he can apply the skills in his foundation and apply to that specific sport.
And on a slightly lesser level, that's exactly what we do here, right? That's what CrossFit does. That's what any good group fitness location does, if it's worth its salt. Is it teaches you how to be malleable to anything, right?
Mhm.
Just to be able to, you now understand how to use your body so that you could learn a new movement fairly fast, right? You could pretty much pick up most movements because you know how to your body control and body mechanics are pretty good.
Mhm.
That's the pretty solid definition of an athlete, right? I could take a solid athlete and put them in football, teach them how to catch a football, throw a football, run, whatever they need to do, block. And then I could take them out of there and I could tell them, okay, now I need you to go over there and learn how to be a catcher. Baseball. And then tomorrow I need you to learn how to swing a golf club. Tony Romo is going to play in the professional PGA Tour. because he's that good. He also happened to be an okay quarterback.
But he did make millions.
He
I feel like you got to be better than just okay to make millions.
yeah, well, he was. We'll give him okay.
Hearsay?
We'll give him okay. Vinny, what say you?
Well,
You train athletes, right?
I like to think I do. So
Or youth
if
athletes.
we're
That
looking,
doesn't seem very confident.
if we're looking at, when someone asks, what's the definition of an athlete, dictionary wise,
What's Wiki say?
it says it's a person who is proficient in sports and other forms of physical exercise.
Hot
That's what I
dog.
said. Except
The
that sounds better.
British go one step further.
We don't care.
Of course they do. They're
a
overachievers.
person who is skilled in competitive track and field events. So they're a little more.
They're not
sports-
athletic.
Yeah, and
So,
that
talking like decathlon.
that's
Are we
probably
talking like a
more
sprint?
of the decathlon, and that can, where Coach Matt said, more of a well-rounded person. You could look at Caitlyn Jenner, who used to be Bruce Jenner, gold medal winning decathlete, but in high school and college, baseball player, football player, basketball player. Can you do anything at any time? Can you be fast? Are you agile? Can you jump? Can you lift weights? We have a lot of members here that come in for their strength. They're very well conditioned. Someone like Mike, who runs his 10Ks and 15Ks and half marathons almost weekly. That's an
Sickening.
athlete. Like Coach Chris mentioned, Tim Tebow, football player, Heisman caliber athlete, playing professional baseball. That's
Creator of the Tebow.
that's a talented person. You look at someone who's just the sport specific. Like your baseball player, the person who just is baseball. They're sport specific. They're good for baseball. They could probably go run maybe a couple miles if you need them to, depending on the position, how explosive that person needs to be. Athlete can go very, very big on the spectrum. What does that athlete need? And, as coaches, how are we training and coaching these athletes is another thing,
I think that's what separates us from a lot of places is because we are kind of a CrossFit first facility. We've always been really big on training people based on a well-rounded assortment of athletic movements. Whereas if you go to a really sports-specific training facility, they're there to teach you footwork and really specific skills to that sport. Well, if you're a 3-sport athlete, you're not only driving around to 3 different locations to learn skill-specific work for 3 different sports. Where I think coming to something like this, where people always ask it, so you guys do sports specific? No, I believe the best answer to that question would be we do athletic development. We develop athletes. It's their coaches. Your coaches on that specific sports team are the ones developing your skill set. What we do is we make you the best athlete possible so that when you go to learn those skill sets, you're capable of learning quickly and adapting fast, meaning that you're able to really take hold and get really, really good at those skills. And at the same time, be able to turn around and join another sport in the next season and be really, really good at that because you're just athletically built, right? So you're built like a true athlete, and that's what we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of people put a lot of emphasis when it comes to specific sports training facilities. They emphasize footwork and position and technique, but what they're not really honing in or teaching kids or adults or professional athletes, it seems generally, is how to transition from one position to the next. How are they applying the force and how much force is being applied? How do we train athletes to apply maximal force while learning these new neural patterns so that it becomes second nature? So whenever a wide receiver cuts, it happens in a split second. Or whenever a forward or a point guard comes in and jukes someone out of their shoes, it happens in a split second. And it's literally transferring forces at such a fast rate that there's more being worked than just technique. There needs to be speed, and there needs to be power, and there needs to be agility. You can train the technique all you want, but if you're not applying maximal effort or maximal force with the technique and building on top of that technique, then nothing's ever going to happen. They're not going to know how to use it or understand how the forces are applied.
Vinny, what say you?
So I think touching on what Matt's talking about too, if we have those people here, it's like, well, how do I get that? How do I program for speed? We don't have that in a CrossFit class, or it's not in CFT.
I think it's called
60.
maximum potentiation.
It's
You just looked that
I think. No, I didn't. I'm looking on Instagram right now, but I just thought of it.
for the folks that
Instagram.
are out there that are, especially here at CFT, that want that little bit more, and they want that extra bit to get better within their strength, their power, their speed, their agility. It's like, yes, we do offer classes that'll touch on it, taking a CFT 30, which is definitely a different change of pace. Those half-hour short burst classes that we're doing, it's 6:30 a.m. and noon. And then a class like Nike Training Club, where you are going to get to work with the ladders and the cones and working the oddball stuff, the speed, the agility. But for someone that really wants it to be programmed for them specifically, I think how we handle our assessment process and sitting people down and really listening and programming for the goals. And I think a lot of the stuff that I like doing and that we've been able to utilize OPEX content. I mean, how those guys are looking at not just athletes, but anybody that walks into a gym and making sure that everybody's doing what they should be doing. And whether it's getting better at just everyday life or coming to the gym, or for that person that needs to compete, like someone like Dean, who does the extra work after the class is over, goes and runs those 800s. It's the programming's there. And in my eyes, everyone's an athlete. It just takes a really good coach to find that athlete for him sometimes.
Yep. Along with the assessment process, where a lot of people mess up, where they start off on the wrong foot. They don't have a plan of action, the correct plan of action in place. People, or athletes, I should say, not people. Athletes tend to look at what other professional athletes or semi-professional athletes are doing on Instagram or on the internet, or they look at some Bulgarian squat program where it says a squat heavy every single day.
German volume training.
That's
10
right.
sets of 10.
It is applicable and it does work. However, you as an athlete who may be young or just starting off the beginning process of your elite strength and conditioning program, you need to look at what they were doing 15 years ago. You need to start at the very beginning. You cannot go from back squatting in class, in CrossFit class, wherever CrossFit gym you're at, doesn't matter. This one, the next one, the one down the street, doesn't matter. You can't go from doing that once or twice a week to then squatting every single day and expect the same results. It's not going to happen. You haven't adapted to the volume. You haven't built yourself up. You haven't put a plan that's specific for you. Those guys, they have coaches and trainers that have built them up from the ground. As far as if they've been there for 5 years, they've been there for 20 years. They've done it their whole life from their time they were 8 to if they just started doing it when they're 30. You become elite by building from the ground up. If you don't have a foundation, you can build nothing on top of it. You're just going to build bad habits, and eventually you're going to plateau. Whether you're a bodybuilder, you're a power lifter, you're an Olympic lifter, you're a CrossFitter, it doesn't matter. You have to accumulate volume and build and adapt your ability to take on that volume and recover from it. Steroids or not, it doesn't matter. You can take steroids and squat every day. You're still not going to get the benefit from it because your body is not adapted for that volume. You can't just all of a sudden wake up and say, "Oh, I'm going to do German volume training," because I saw it on Instagram and it looked cool. It was in a Muscle and Fitness magazine. So with going back to our assessment, what our assessment does here is allows us as coaches to identify where you are, what you're capable of, and how much volume we can give you so that we can start you, build your foundation, and start adapting you to the training stimuluses that we use, whether that's high volume, intense conditioning, or strength in general. We have to have a starting place. We have to build a foundation. We got to do the basics. It's necessary. They're the building blocks. It's the foundation. Again, the foundation. Without the foundation, you can build nothing on top of it. It'll just crumble.
I think that's the benefit of the Wendler program is, something like the Wendler program, it builds base strength. The Wendler's not something I would recommend to an advanced athlete, but it's something I recommend to newer athletes looking to build base strength. Why?
5-5-5, the 5-3-1, those are really great beginner programs, and they're tough.
Exactly, but they force you to start a really light weight. You're going to test your maximal, which is fine, but then you're going to start at a really light weight. You're going to start at 60%, 65% of your 1 rep max. To some people, that's like, oh, it's boring. What's that really doing for me? Well, it's building your base, right? It's teaching you how to squat properly with weight at a low weight, but then the next week you do 75%. And then the week after that, you do 85%. And you might do 95%. And then guess what you're going to do? You're going to go back down and start at 70%. And then 80, 90, until eventually you've gone over your max.
Every cycle, if it's a lower body movement, you add 10 pounds to your max.
Yep.
And all the maxes on the percentages when it comes to 5-3-1 Wendler method is 90% of your 1 rep max. So your first month, your first 4-week cycle of the squat program, deadlift, doesn't matter. Lower body specifically, you're going to start with your max. You take 90% of that max, and that's the numbers you base your percentages off of. The next month or your next 4-week cycle, you're going to add 10 pounds to your 1 rep max, take 90% of that, and that's what you're going to base all of your percentages off of. And it's mathematically efficient because it gives not just your muscles, but your nervous system a break, and it allows your nervous system to adapt to these heavy volumes and loads and deloads. But the cool thing about the Wendler method is the last set of the last set that you could perform is a maximal effort. So not maximal effort as far as weight, but maximal reps. So instead of every week coming in the gym doing 10 reps and adding 5 pounds every single week, doing 10 more reps, it's another way to add volume because it's unlimited. It's 1 week's 5+, the next week's 3+, and the next week after that's 1+. And the weight's going to go up, but you do your 5 reps and you just keep going until you can't do it anymore. You go to failure. So it is adding volume, but it's doing it in a strategic manner to not overload the nervous system and cause severe soreness or long-term soreness to where you might not feel sore, but the 225 you did this week feels a lot heavier than the 225 you did last week. And that's because your body hasn't adapted yet to that ability to recover, even though it's been a week.
Yeah, and it can be legitimately debilitating. And it can knock
Frustrating.
people off their program forever.
Make you quit.
And that's why you have to build up in stages. And that's why when we bring people in here, we put them through the assessment, we set up their program, especially one-on-one or in small group setting. When it's athlete based, most athletes that are coming here have one of two things, especially student athletes. They need to bulk up, or they need to lose a few pounds to get to a certain level to fit the framework of the position they're playing in sports. And regardless, the plan is pretty much the same, right? It's pretty much build the base and build them up from there. Add strength and either retract weight by reducing body fat or adding muscle, right? So the focus is pretty much, the training is very similar in terms of we're going to just make you an overall better athlete. And that training is very similar to what we do in CrossFit. The difference is the CrossFit training is much more generalized for a general population of people, where the sports stuff, the athletic development, is really developed to you, or really developed. And even in small group training, the what you're doing is catered to you. Even if you're doing it with 2 other friends, you're doing it what is designed specifically for your needs. Your friend might have a slightly different need or a slightly different weakness we need to adapt and develop. And you got something there I think you want to quote, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Been
So
burning a hole in his brain.
So we keep talking about, a base, a foundation, and this comes directly from James Fitzgerald. Some people know him as OPT. He's the founder of OPEX Fitness, 2007 Games champion.
OG.
That year doesn't even count.
Yeah, one of the originals here. And his quote here is, a person needs to know exactly where they are currently, where their ground base is, before they can even talk about setting goals. And I think that's huge. I think, I've been training.
Sounds like he quoted me.
I'm wondering who ripped off who here.
Exactly. We've all been training and coaching people for, a long time now. And being able to assess somebody from the beginning instead of just taking them out onto the weight floor and, oh, we're going to max out today. We're going to put a barbell on your back instead of even going through a squat assessment.
Or just putting them through a program they just put their last athlete through.
Just breaking somebody down. I mean, I've seen
Like
all
Parisi.
Yeah, exactly. Expecting such a high amount from somebody in the beginning, breaking them down to where that person's probably not going to come back to the gym because they had such a rough experience, making somebody barf, their first day in the gym, unless you're coming in and, I am a high level athlete, and, an assessment for someone like that's going to be a little different. And trust me, we've worked with athletes here that have come in thinking that they're strong and, they're not. And it takes a while to change the mindset of the athlete and get them to where they need to be. And it's the same thing with people that come in here. And we're not a typical gym where you walk in and, there's treadmills and Stairmasters and TVs all around and, people with headphones. You walk in and there's classes going on, there's people being coached, there's a lot of direction when you walk in here too. It's not just a bunch of nonsense going on. And I think we grab people right from the beginning, and it's great because we treat everybody the same. Whether it's you're going to spend 3 months on the 60 side and then we can assess you and get you into CrossFit, or you're going through on-ramp. Regardless, there's a process. You got to trust it.
Yeah, before this becomes too much of an infomercial on us.
For 3 easy payments of $19.99.
What we're really trying to get to here is everybody has a built-in athletic system in them, an athletic ability. The goal, with whether it's CrossFit here or anywhere else, is to bring out that athleticism. And people kind of scoff that, I'm not an athlete, but you're doing athletic movements, whether you like it or not.
Well, also you can argue that they have an athletic mindset of doing these workouts because they're grueling. You got to be able to push.
If you show up here and you've been doing this for a year consistently, you're an athlete. And you think like an athlete, because guaranteed you're probably putting some effort into what you're eating. You're probably preparing yourself for workouts, looking ahead, trying to figure out what you could do to be prepared, maybe get a little more sleep, things like that. Those are all things professional athletes think about. You are an athlete. Mm-hmm. And, it's not always about the performance, and it's not always about where you rank. Sometimes it's about testing your limits and understanding that, when you go into the open, you're not competing against anyone but yourself. It's very similar to what they teach you in golf. It's just you in the course. In this case, it's you in the open. It's the open pushing you and you being willing to take that push and see how far you can go. See how hard you can push your body safely. And to me, it's not about the entire open or your final score. It's about those little awakenings that happen every year. Similar to every year, every time I go out and play golf, could be 100. I take me 100 shots to finish the round, but there'll always be 1 or 2 I'll never forget, and that will linger in my head until the next time I play. That I'm just like, man, that was awesome. I want to do that again. In the open, same thing. You're going to have those specific moments in time, whether it's PRing a lift, hitting a new movement you've never done
20
before.
double unders in a row.
Yeah, something will happen that you will not regret doing the entire open because of that 1 or 2 things that happen. Every single person has that experience every single year, and it's something you definitely don't want to forget. So hopefully, whether you're doing the open here or elsewhere and you're on the fence, that helps, because I'm doing it. I'm not ready, but I'm just going to do it because I know that something will happen that will be awesome that I will never forget. And I will never regret the signing up and paying $20 to hang out with my friends and be a part of a community. Because guess what? The first year I signed up for the open, I didn't know what it was and I had no expectations. I just did it because it seemed fun and I wanted to hang out with my friends. And people tend to forget that over the years. Remember why you first signed up. Because you're an athlete. Sucker.
Benny and I are going to go one-on-one in the open.
Yeah, I'll scale and you RX.
Nope. You're RXing, man.
That's it. You heard it here. If Vinny does an RX, it's burpees for everyone.
It's kind of like what is it? The Bosman and
Yeah.
Oh, and
What's his name?
Yeah.
Boz versus Rowe.
Yep.
Rowe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're both pretty equal. With
No,
each
they're not.
other.
Bosman
Nah.
killed him.
what's his name? Rory.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Rory McKernan.
Yeah,
It's like Joe and Andrew last year.
that was funny.
That was great.
That was a good one too.
Yeah. So again, guys, it's not about all the overall competition for the Open. And if you're coming in here looking for any type of athletic training, whether you're just coming in looking to get more fit as a CrossFitter or CFT 60 or CFT 30 or wherever you're at, or if you're coming in with a specific goal in mind when it comes to youth or professional sports, we're here to make you a better athlete. We will develop you into the absolute best athlete you can be. From there, it's up to you to take those talents and that strength and athleticism that you've developed and build your skills with it.
Yep. Our goal isn't to help you swing a baseball bat better. It's to make their baseball bat swing more powerful.
Yep.
You just apply the techniques and the drills that your coaches give you, your baseball coaches give you. I'll teach you how to apply force. I'll teach you how to create force and generate more power.
Yeah, you got any questions with that? Go ahead and ask Ryan Kirby how he's doing right now.
It's my boy.
Yeah.
My boy Blue.
Results will speak for themselves.
Yep.
He is absolutely crushing it.
He's jacked, not very tan, but he's
No.
jacked.
He's pretty pale.
Even for where
Pasty.
he's been living for the last 6 weeks or so, he'll still come back white.
Mhm.
He's jacked and paced.
Jacked and pale.
Poor guy. All right. I think that's it, guys. That's it. Sign up for the Open. Do it now.
Got like 10 days. Well, it'll be less by the time.
I think it's
you hear
9
this
days
one.
now. And I think by the time this comes out, it'll already be a day after the announcement. But there's still time.
Yeah. Stop being such a specific athlete.
Yeah.
Broaden your horizon.
Yeah, you're not a kick returner. Okay. There's or a relief pitcher. You're a CrossFit athlete. Behave like one.
Yeah.
Do weird
have
things.
fun doing it.
Yeah.
Climb a rope upside down.
Drink beer.
Drink a beer.
Yeah.
Peace.
Love.
Goodbye.